Good day everyone, so in my recent Xingqiu is dead video, someone basically said, look, it's kinda suspect that you talk about him but you don't show any actual gameplay to prove your points, and I thought, well, let's do a follow-up video showcasing exactly how Xingqiu fares against some alternatives. So I've prepared a couple of case studies. First of all, I want to show you what happens when we don't play with any protection, no shielding or healers, and then show you how Xingqiu's damage reduction interruption resistance actually plays out in the later Spiral Abyss before going into the alternatives. So to begin, what happens when you actually go YOLO and you don't have any healer and you get to a final floor here where the enemies can literally just one-shot you? Well, you'll see exactly how the gameplay plays out in the background, but what's really important to notice is the lack of aggression. So whilst the spacing is fairly decent, in other words we're aware of where the enemy is, we avoid the damage, we're also kind of trading off some of the aggression for like the lack of safety. So if I had some healing here or I had a shield or damage reduction, you could argue that we could be way more aggressive and literally in the face of Coppelia and like sort of hit her. But here you can see everything is far more measured, far more clinical, and in a certain sense kind of a bit boring. It's all very measured, you time your elemental iframe when the enemy hits you, so there's quite a lot of detail here. I've covered this team and this exact same boss in the past with my C0 and C0 Technery here, so you can check that out. But the point is, we generally use protection because we want to be aggressive, and we also want to ensure more consistency when clearing. Most people that I know, most casual players, will not be able to run this team against this type of boss. So with that being set in the background, let's look a bit deeper into what exactly Xingqiu provides. So with his damage reduction, let's just quickly again skip here to the end. So what you'll now notice is I'm playing here with Yai, I've set up, I'm frozen because that can also happen. Even if you've got a shield, you can still get frozen, by the way. And you can see here, Yai still gets interrupted there, she still loses health. Now okay, obviously we can take a couple of more extra hits because Xingqiu gives us, I think in this case, about 50% damage reduction, which is really not too bad, but you can still see that this idea of interruption to resistance is not playing out in practice, and we can still lose our full health bar if we don't play properly like in the first example. Here's another example, so you can see here very clearly I've activated the rain swords here, I'm here with my Kokomi and I'm gonna beat up the enemies, but look at that, I'm being interrupted. I cannot do a couple of things. So this is the point that I wanted to make. Xingqiu's damage reduction is really cool, his interruption to resistance is really cool, but it's not a silver bullet, it's not a guarantee, and it's definitely not a substitute for actually playing the game properly. You can see here, Kokomi gets interrupted even though she's supposed to have interruption resistance. In any case, let's look at a bit of a full team showcase. Well, not really showcase, this is more just me showing you how to play from a casual perspective, so please note that this is casual gameplay, this is not speedrunning, and from a casual perspective, how you can get good, reliable, consistent results, and exactly what my real problem with Xingqiu is, as I pointed out in my previous video. So what you can see in the background is that I have to keep on normal attacking in order to apply Hydro. I am in a certain sense rotationally locked with Xingqiu. This was the main theme about the previous video. Now in cases like this where the enemy is just being a good boy and is being knocked down and gives me all the opportunity to attack, you can see it's really not that difficult. This is the type of thing you can expect a casual player to do. You are triggering spread with Yai, you're doing hyper blooms, Xingqiu provides you a lot of the dendro cores, and obviously Sucrose is here just to help shred the opponent's resistance and give us a bit of EM sharing to help up the hyper bloom damage. So this is all pretty cool and good. So what happens when we now use Farina? Well, what you'll notice about the gameplay in the background, which is still casual by the way, you'll notice how carefree I am being here because I can absolutely afford to be carefree. So the idea here is just like you can see in the previous one, I'm just going to use Yai. I can normal attack, but if I don't want to normal attack with Yai, if I want to go to Nahida, use the elemental burst, or if I want to go here to Yao Yao and just run around picking daisies in the outfield and summoning a horde of bunnies, I can do so. I don't need to normal attack. Look at the freedom that I'm being given. I'm not going to increase the amount of hydro that's being applied, none of that, and I don't need to normal attack. And even still, as the indicative timer indicates, we're doing quite a bit more damage than the Xingqiu team. And yes, of course, you might say, well, okay, Farina is Farina and all of that, but it's just to really point out to you the casualness of playing like this, and why I think even though Xingqiu offers all of these other benefits, from a more casual, relaxed perspective, and certainly from a combat perspective, you've got more flexibility when being rotationally locked, and it's going to be really important here against the Dirge of Coppelia or the Ice Skating duo. So what you'll notice is that for me to trigger Hyper Blooms, I have to normal attack, and I really want to emphasize this point. It's either with Yai or with Sucrose or with Xingqiu that I have to normal attack. This is the power of Nahida. You just get Dendro forever, which is so nice. But look here, I'm being interrupted, and if I don't, I'm getting frozen, but if I don't hit my E with Xingqiu, which can easily happen because Coppelia can push you away, then I'll be in a very dangerous situation. Now, I'll still have the rain swords and the damage reduction and a bit of healing, but I'm not going to get any extra particles from my Favonius sword. I'm not going to have enough energy for my elemental burst. So this is the problems. If just like what you saw right there happened, if I don't hit his E, then unfortunately I lose all my flexibility, and now my rotation is set back, and now I'm going to lose some time. So this is the problem. If you don't have all of the flexibilities that you would have if you just plop down a jellyfish, or you have a bunch of summons attacking the enemy from range, or you have someone like Yelan that even if she's pushed back, her E can still connect and then at a distance trigger. Or you can just use like Yelan's Breakthrough Bob if you want to do a bit of extra like hydro damage. So that's really what I wanted to point out with these case studies. It's just the flexibility and how you can play from a rotations perspective, and certainly when it comes to more advanced gameplay and really doing speed running and all of these sorts of things, damage reduction and healing and all these things really don't matter. What matters is how you set up, how flexible you can be, how much flexibility you are afforded, because if you do speed running and preferably do continuous speed running, what you want is to carefully manage your energy. You want to manage how you interact with the enemies, and Xingqiu just does not give you that flexibility. That is why I said that the character is for all practical purposes dead. There are just so many better alternatives, even from a casual perspective, that allows you to be flippant, that allows you to take a bit of damage here with Yai, or just to, I'm just throwing up another shield here in the background, and all the summons and totems and everything is just doing its job, and that is just what makes life so much easier. This is why I said all of the things that people praise Xingqiu for, from my perspective, is just not as relevant. Yes, he is still a good unit, you can still get your mileage, and I've proven that. But when it comes to flexibility, there are just so many other ways to play. You can see I'm just running around with Yao Yao, like, trying to see whether the little turrets in the background are still okay, so that the enemy can attack me, and I'm doing a lot of damage. So this is just like my point. This is why I've put together these case studies, to just bring in, or just to home in the reality that people need to wake up when it comes to characters like Xingqiu, as well as the fact that I really want to encourage people to understand that there are many other alternatives in the game. There are alternative characters you can pull for, that you can recommend people to wish on, and you don't always have to follow the standard formula of Xingqiu, Xiangling and Bennett. The era for those characters is over. We've got so many other new exciting characters coming out, and this is really just up to the community to embrace the new era of Genshin Impact. Right, thanks for watching.